let's start with Abdalhadi Alijla.
Abdalhadi.
Okay, you can start and then we proceed with the order that is on the program as well. You can introduce yourself if you want.
That's okay. We are all researchers here. Thank you very much. I usually like to present STEM. This research actually is not my field, but I'm a political scientist. And I think this is anthropology, but I feel an ethical responsibility as a Palestinian, for Palestinian parents, to write about this. I was inspired by the idea by one of the most important anthropologists in Stockholm, Sharam Khosarvi, who has written a lot about traveling, about borders, about his own journey as illegal traveler from Iran to Sweden as a refugee. So this paper starts with the title, Enta Gazzawi, are you from Gaza? And this could be reflected on the specific nature of the people of Gaza when they face borders and statelessness, borders, and sea. The structure of this, I will talk about introduction, how it came to my mind to start this project that I will try to expand it to other refugees, Palestinian refugees. I will talk about the state of exception of my generation, giving an anthropological introduction about the concept of hamula and its restrictivity of traveling for not only my generation, but the previous generation. And then I will talk about the visa violence that we are subjected as Palestinians in Gaza. Then I will draw on the concept of borderscapes and the procedural shift of traveling, of the creation of border communities together. And then I will talk about rituals of the statelessness of Palestine and borders from my own experience. Of course, every one of these is based on my own experience. It's an auto-ethnography, and I will speak why it's very important to have an ethnography from the Middle East. And then at last I will shed the light on the creation of the quasi-citizens, which is we, Swedes and Europeans from foreign backgrounds. Let's say our parents are foreigners. We are not full citizens. We are just quasi-citizens. So this is a picture. I think not many of you. These are 4 IDs colors, and these ones are for Palestinians. And they have to be issued by an Israeli military, by the Israeli military. So I have this green one. My father and half my brothers have this one, the pre-1994. Palestinians in Jerusalem, they have this one. And Palestinians inside Israel, they have this one. Of course, when it comes to travels, I would give just you one example of this. None of these ID class holders can move and live in another city without a military permission, which is rarely and impossible sometimes to happen. Of course, in Gaza, it's not only impossible, but impossible to move, the mobility to move. So this is my ID. This is my own ID when I was with the mustache. Yeah. So none of these also can marry. Intermarriage between these ID colors need a military permission as well. So if I want to get married to somebody who have this one or this one or this one, I need a military permission, Israeli military permission. Yes. So in last year, around this time, I was working on Sarajevo, and I received a call from my brother that my father has stroke, and then telling me that he has been hospitalized. So I was looking for the way to go. I decided to go back to Gaza, but all indications were I will not be allowed. And the story behind this is in 2014, I tried to go back as a Swedish citizen to the West Bank. Then the Israeli army, they took from me this ID and they removed my registry as a Palestinian in the database, which means that I no longer can access Palestine or Israel through Egypt or through Jordan. So when it comes to this, I became a kind of vulnerable person that I can have access to my family, but also it is in a way as somehow Georgia the animalization, how the borders, or you feel the fragility of being an animal, or animalization of borders, or the transgressor of this, which is the Israeli occupation, which I need a military permission to meet my family. As also Agamben and Mimbi says, that these contemporary borders politics, it doesn't kill us. It doesn't just move us from each other, but it keeps the death as a daily threat in our life. This is of course a daily basis, if not in every day, in every week, in every day, and so on. So I started to write about ethnography, and why I think ethnography is very important, because one, it's a personal experience to shed some light on a bigger pictures, something that we rarely read from the Middle East. We have the capacity to do that, so why not to do that? So the narrative of ethnography it offers also with sometimes a representation of what we have, what we can deliver in kind of somehow knowledge production, but also it can provide an alternative story about from an anthropological point of view that's Western or foreigner researchers or even anthropologists themselves can offer. So this is that. So the generation of a state of exception. Hamula is bigger than family, but less than tribe. But they expected from us to have a solidarity. One of the most important things when Hamula is the traveling in Gaza Strip in the 60s and 70s after the Israeli policies, they restricted the travel. So if you needed passport, let's say passé from the Israeli army, they it take like 6 months or 1 year as a student, because they wanted most Palestinians in Gaza to work in economy inside Israel. That's why you have less educated people in this period. And that's why Hamula, because of economic reasons and because the lack of diaspora community from Gaza after the 1967, because we expect that diaspora create a community that also pull more people with Al-Ghurba to have more solidarity in Al-Ghurba. So that's why through this, two of my uncles were also exiled after 1967. So they were forced exile, so they couldn't come back. But at the same time, my whole family, they were restricted, forbidden to move outside of Gaza Strip because of my two uncles. So it became a collective punishment, also not only from two sides. One, for economic reason, you have to work here, and second, because of political reason, that Israel wanted us to prevent connecting people together. And so in fear that they would join PLO in Lebanon or other places. In a kind of a state of exception, so when I was born in Gaza, and I was subjected, as all my generations, to continuous violence, and crime, and trauma. It was a norm in Gaza as a child and even as a teenager. because the authority of my life, my death, and my behavior was essentially not in my own hand, but it was degraded to a bare life, which here I would quote, we in Gaza, the homo sapiens of what Judge Agamben talked. We are bare life, by international law, by any kind of human law, we are protected, but if we were killed, if we were violated, if we were subject to violence, we were not protected. This is a Sarah Roy in 1993 about the childhood in Gaza. So this is visa violence. In the background, you can see one of my one of the military permission, Israeli military permission that when I obtained it after 6 months coordination between UNESCO, Italian embassy, and the Jordanian embassy to coordinate for me to leave Gaza Strip. So when I talk about the visa violence, when we were surrounded by Egypt, Jordan, Israel, so the border experience is sharpened by political affiliation, categorization, because if you are over 40 years old, Egyptians will allow you without any visa. But if you are under 40 years old as a man, you need transit or coordination. And this coordination has created a kind of social profiling security apparatus to which political party you belong, to which political or security apparatus in Palestine you belong, so by age, by sex. So it was, borders in Gaza was selective and also targeted. So we have the concept of to whom approach and to whom you will be going. So it's a kind of cultural productions, which I mean here, the creation of a bribes. You could bribe for $1,000 and to get a special coordination as well. So it created a culture of bribes, the culture of connecting the tribes on two borders, the Egyptian borders and the Palestinian borders, which later developed into tunnels for 10 years and so on. So what I mean here is the lack of visa or permission is not only a restrictive, it wasn't a restrictive control mechanism of freedom of movement, but also it was a humiliation mechanism by the Israeli and by even European consulates in the West, in Jerusalem or in Tel Aviv, when we as Palestinians from Gaza apply. So usually it takes 2 weeks to get a visa for an average, but for Palestinians in Gaza, they need 3 months before to apply for a visa in any European or American, and sometimes it takes more. And that's why how visa violence here affect the mobility of Palestinians in Gaza, not only in terms of traveling for leisure or so on, because there is the concept of traveling for leisure doesn't exist in Gaza. For medical care, segregation and providing for medical care, for studying, or for joining work abroad. Dear Borderscapes, and these photos are the portability. The concept who is aware of the portability concept, it's consuming the state of mind. So any Palestinians in Gaza know what means tarheel. And tarheel, these photos are from the tarheel rooms in Egyptian Cairo International Airport. So if you are a Palestinian and arrive to Cairo International Airport, you will not be allowed to access Egypt or go by your own self to the Rafah borders. You will be put in a prison or these locked rooms for sometimes 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 days. I was like only for 2 days, so it was at least for me. And then beside me, the territorial limits here in this, not only the access, but everything surrounding your family, your economy. You can bribe also the guards, so you can have fresh air, or you can buy them meals, so they can give you better meal as well, by your own money. And here, so when I travel, or when Palestinians in Gaza travel, we always think about the risk of the portability of tarheel. which is a concept. It's not easy for the Palestinians. It's a humiliating experience, but at the same time, it's somehow people promise themselves not to travel again after this kind of experience. Actually, I slept for 1 week in Al-Arish airport, and we didn't have anything. We slept on a cartons like this one. And beside me was a professor of neurosurgeon. He was visiting his father. So we slept for 1 week. Me and on my right was a chemical, on my left was a chemical professor in the United States, and on my right was a professor of neurosurgery science, working in Germany. And it was very humiliating for us. So both of them not anymore in Palestine. Politics of borders here, it's for us act as a mental perception and have very political significance. It's not only a kind of mobility, but it has a political significance, because they wanted to limit your access, limit your mobilities, and to have lack of trust in the political system of your own from the women. So it creates also a politicized human being. At the same time, it produced by broader politically identified leftovers. So for us as Palestinians in Gaza, we are leftovers, not only for Israel, but also for Arab states. And that's why Palestinians in Gaza need a visa or permission to enter any Arab space. And this, the exclusion, in this humanitarian political crisis, is a sinking ship, and that's why every Palestinian in Gaza or a traveler to be believe that the personal salvation, the individual salvation, is the only way out. Of course, with the passport, I will not talk about passport, because Palestinians would need a lot. My experience with the Israeli with the Israeli humiliation of checking me naked, of humiliating me by, which is what was, frankly, he was African Jewish from Ethiopia. He was asking me to get naked, and he was sexually harassing me in front of the Israeli intelligence, which is, that was in 2007, which create a continuous trauma, and also not the hate, but also the perception how somebody strangers is doing to me, not from my own land, doesn't look like me, doesn't fit with the land that's in the Eastern Mediterranean. So about the borderlands, the last line I drew, Rafah and Erez also, is a borderland. It's a kind of big waste and predicament of humanity, which is becoming an anthropological issue, which that's why we need more anthropological studies on the Rafah and borders, on the Palestinians and the effect there. I will skip this this one, and I will talk about Borderscapes. Borderscapes, it's the Borderscapes is the housecape and the communities around the borders, and how the mental and political and technological aspects of Borderscapes. So the order, this is Erez crossing in 2007. Now it's much more developed, advanced, which is, you can see that it's like animals. And this is 2 kilometers long, and it's a cube, it's no man's zone. It's only for Palestinians who can enter this now. So before I would come to the idea of when I became a Swedish citizen, I always tried to go back to the Middle East. I traveled a lot. And that's why every time I travel, always they ask me about my origin. Where is your origin? And that's why I call myself as a homo sacer, because as a bare life, it's my identity is in my DNA. They see me as a Palestinian, as my origin, and not as a Swedish citizen. That happens in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Egypt, and in many other countries, in Tunis, in Qatar, in Emirates, which I always have to go to security, to another layer of security every time I cross the airport. So it's it's a terrible, humiliating request to prove myself as a legitimate Swede, as a citizen of Sweden. At the same time, when I was detained by the Israeli military in 2014, when we called the Swedish embassy, I was treated as a kind of semi-Swede. So why you came here in the principle? You are a Palestinian, but I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm a Swede. So it gave to me the idea of my biological body only. That was the only determinant for myself at this part of the world, in the Arab world. But also my Swedish nationality will not identify myself politically, and also with the equal rights and the privilege as other European fellows. 1 minute. And that's why I do believe that at the end that there are also non-physical borders, geographical borders, in the sense that we became invisible borders that create what I call is quasi-citizen, because being a Swede doesn't only guarantee equal rights and equal treatment in the country, as because of my color, because of my name. And also, and that's why I feel that I find it myself as a traveler, as quasi-citizenship, in and out. In the Middle East, I am out and in, and also in Sweden, I am out and in. So, thank you very much.